Hey everyone, welcome back to another build video. My name is Hexers, and today we are finally going to be reviewing a mix set for the Taroth Glaive Paralysis. And I have to say, this glaive has lived up to the hype. It does great damage, an amazing amount of support with the Paralysis, and now I have the weapon augmented with health regen. You can honestly throw Affinity Augment depending on your playstyle. It's a great weapon. For the gear, we have the Nergigante Helm Alpha, Cold Chest and Gloves Beta, Nergigante Coil Beta, Dante's Boots, as well as an Awakened 2 Charm. Now, after dual socketing, we'll have Attack Boost 5 for the 15 attack and 5% affinity, Paralysis Attack 3 to bring the status attack up to 370, Free Element 3. Without this, you won't have any paralysis, so this weapon does need to be awakened. Next, we have Critical Boost 3 to bring our crit boost damage from 25% to 40%. Weakness Exploit 3 for an additional 50% affinity to weak points. Maximum Might 3 for another 30% affinity while at full stamina. Stun Resistance 2 to reduce the stun duration by 60%. And Power Prolonger 1, which was really just a byproduct, but does extend the duration of your Kinsect buffs by 10%, so it's not a wasted skill. But let's go ahead and take a look at the jewels we socketed to achieve these skills. Alright, so we have a critical jewel in the glaive, an attack jewel in the helm, a mighty and paralyzer jewel in the chest, a critical and paralyzer jewel in the gloves, a tenderizer jewel in the waist, and another paralyzer and attack jewel in the boots. But let's go ahead and see how this set fares against a tempered Nergigante. Alright guys, so for the food buffs, I only ate for an attack up large here. Nothing too special. We're going to start out with the usual Demon Powder and throw on a Rocksteady Mantle just to collect some of the buffs here. Now, I did do this recording before the health regen augment, so you can get an idea of what it will be like without that augment, since it is difficult to get some of those stream stones, and I felt it only fair to show the run since it doesn't rely on the augment itself. Not to mention, it'll give you an idea that if you don't rely on the health regen, an affinity augment will increase the damage and your overall clear times. Now, I did try out the Kenkadaman 3 Kinsect, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is the Paralysis Kinsect with 12 speed and the Paralysis Clouds. In all honesty, this Kinsect is much more efficient in groups since it will allow for more paralysis, but your damage will take a significant loss, so I don't recommend using it in a solo situation. But I do recommend it for groups since the paralysis resistance in groups will go up substantially. And having that extra synergy, you can allow your teammates to be more of the damage rolls, and you can take more of a status support backseat role with more of the mounts and paralyzing effects. Now, if you're more like me and you exclusively use the Pseudocath Kinsect, it will take some time getting used to the speed of that Kinsect by losing 3 speed. For whatever reason, it feels extremely sluggish, even though it's really only losing 3 speed, and it's not much of a difference. You may notice I'm using a bit more of the aerial combat in this fight as well. You again will take some of that damage loss, but this is all about positioning and gap closing, especially when you're not relying on damage, but rather hit counts for the status buildup. Also making it easier for those cloud hits when you're using that attack. So just be mindful of your positioning using it, and try not to stay airborne the entire fight, as it really is inefficient when used exclusively. Ultimately, it's all about situational awareness, just when judging when to be airborne and when to be focused on ground attacks to get off those trips or building up status with the infinite combos. Now, you may notice that I end up hitting green sharpness right about the same time that my Kinsect buff wears off. If you're applying the right amount of damage pressure, I feel like this works out perfectly. You can back off, heal up, sharpen, reapply your buffs, and go right back to the aggressive playstyle. This is a little harder to pull off when solo, since your Palico is the only other target. My recommendation, if this happens, use a Flash Pod. Just because it was nerfed doesn't make them useless, and it's a perfect opportunity to take advantage of a much-needed break, really just to get everything situated before re-engaging in that fight. Another thing to point out, you may notice in a lot of my videos, I do collect all 3 buffs. Unless you really know how to collect these extremely fast, I don't recommend doing this. You just really need to get your red and white out of the way. You can collect orange at a later time to refresh. This is actually a much more efficient way to do it, and I just happen to be a little more OCD, and having been a glaive main since 4U, I'm a lot more confident about collecting my buffs on most monsters in a timely fashion. But in all honesty, this does work against me sometimes when I do messed up, and no matter how good you are, you will mess up from time to time. It happens. There's no way around that. Let me go ahead and just toss on this. Oh, what happened? Let me go ahead and try that again. I'll just get this paralysis going here. Not gonna worry too much. Now, Nergigante does have the 2-star weakness to paralysis, unlike most of the other Tempered Elder Dragons who do only have the 1-star. That's why we kind of chose to do this monster in particular. Really, that won't make too much of a difference. There we go. But all in all, this is just a really fun glaive to play. And there we go. Nergigante is dead. What was the time on that? Alright, so there you have it. 4 minutes, 24 seconds. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch my video. If you did enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. If you would like to see a build around a particular weapon, feel free to leave a request in the comments below. And as always, happy hunting!